Started. All right, welcome to the special edition, which will be our normal agenda on the 13th of May. And it says the webinar will start soon.
It should pop up any second for you because we're definitely on. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Oh, that's Tom. Oh, Tom is there. Look at that.
Oh, good.
Oh,
There it is. Okay, join as panelist. All right. So let me- There we go. All right, so
Yeah.
there we are.
we can start off with a roll call. So Michelle,
There he
Is
is.
Fitzpatrick secretary?
Bray Rafferty, Vice Chair.
Ann Schmidt, member.
Larry Dunn, chair.
Kristen Desnante, member.
Tom,
I'm here, Tom Olson, member.
and our staff and new staff.
Dave Prescott, staff.
Bryce Kelly, staff.
All right, Bryce, you're new. Could you give us a thumbnail sketch? Yeah, a sketch of your background.
Sure, yeah. I grew up in Richmond, Rhode Island. Went away for school down in Florida, worked a little bit in politics down there. Most recently, I was at Housing Works Rhode Island, which is a community partner of Roger Williams University. And we basically did conduct a lot of research around housing, land use, and things related to housing like transportation and conservation, open space, environmental aspects of housing as well. And yeah, really excited to be part of the town of Groton. Seems like a really incredible community so far. I do serve on Richmond's planning board and their affordable housing committee as well. So do have a little bit of local board experience.
Very good. Well, welcome.
Welcome.
And so being from Rhode Island, a requirement to join the.
Planning department.
staff?
Yep, we're coming across the border.
All right, we're taking over, the little estate is taking over the second little estate.
Right.
Yeah, all right,
Delaware's.
all right. So
I say, we're not quite the second.
I read, yeah, I thought,
A little bit bigger.
the,
A little bit.
oh, look at us laughing. Wow.
it's my spare. So first thing, item of business, approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Is there any discussions, modifications?
I have a piece of paper out here in the book. This is bigger. Yeah, this is, I forgot my.
Dave,
paper.
the number of the bill, the omnibus,
I knew there was something. I knew I must have misquoted it. So I was like, gosh, she'll tell me.
HB 5004,
Okay, hold on one second.
and it did not.
It was filibustered
Hey,
by one of the parties.
It wasn't,
hold on.
What?
it wasn't filibuster.
I thought they wouldn't even let it on the floor.
All right, which one? Say which one again?
The omnibus climate bill.
Yep.
That first one, HB 5004, you have.
Oh, 5004. 5004. Okay.
Any other?
Yes.
Yes, Tom.
On item 6.6, open space stewardship, it should be CT-NER, not NERS. It's only the, it should be the National X-ray Research Reserve. There's no system there. And then you'll have that multiple places on the S's. And so I just wanted to correct that. And there's no NB before NE in the last sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what that is, and I'll tell you exactly the reason why. So for probably 20 years, I worked with the Narragansett Bay nurse, so that was just I missed that one.
Well, a little Freudian slip there.
Yeah, so that's what that is.
Yeah, and that's why, Tom, I'm used to the NERS system there. So where they do use S.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Well, we don't do that here in Connecticut.
Yeah, you guys are weird over here. So
All right.
so noted.
Two amendments. All right, without exception, we will approve it with those two amendments. All right. So the next thing is public communications. I don't see
Nope,
anyone out there.
No one in the
Did
waiting room.
Anything come in?
not for me.
No,
Nope.
okay. All right, so we have none. Next item of business is the report of chair. Okay, list of things. So I did attend a housing meeting that was done by the planning department on April 25th. A lot of interesting data, which I'm not going to go over here. That is available online.
Yes,
Correct? Yep. Okay.
that, you're talking about the community conversations?
Yes. Yep, okay. So for those of you who are interested, you can see that presentation there. I also attended the Alliance Planners. That's for the Mystic River Watershed session. That was on the 23rd. And there's an in-person planning session scheduled for June 7th that I signed up for. So I'll report on that later. As an organization, they're working hard.
There,
They're
absolutely.
so I think that's great, some of the things that they're doing. All right, I attended and supported Earth Day, so did we all. I will say, drum roll, the eelgrass bill was supported unanimously by both the Senate and the House since passed.
Wow.
So
Good job, Larry.
I was just one of the team. But I think I put the actual bill in
Yes.
Right.
there, so if you got, I mean, they took this 50-page report and they squeezed it to like 2, which is good. So some of the items in here deal with what is now being mandated. So basically, we're pushing for additional metrics so that we can measure pollution in the sound. We could measure, a variety of things that would hopefully lead to then corrective actions. So that was a lot of it. Felt we didn't know enough in terms of what needs to be done. But anyway, so that completes that one, so we can strike that from the future.
Were some of the items within the bill moving forward as a result of the bill passage?
Yeah, well, as a result of the bill passage, all the actions were agreed to and legislated. So now they have to implement.
Because I was curious about the mooring issue.
There was one in there.
Yeah.
I know, because that was one of the ones I brought up about putting in the appropriate friendly
Yeah, they actually called conservation moorings.
conservation. Okay, yep, so that's in there. So
Because that's bounced around for years.
yeah, so that one has been placed there. Now, how they're going to implement and manage it is, I had suggested have an incentive program that would help offset the cost of the mooring, for et cetera, et cetera. But the way these things work is it's got to get left up to the not the legislative body, but now the administrative
Yeah.
Body to actually execute. Some make it down to the town, but most of this was state. This was not.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, because in Rhode Island, we worked on a lot of the stuff with conservation moorings. So for those who don't know, conservation moorings, the difference is you can use them in areas where there's eelgrass. And how it basically works is it actually floats up above, instead of having the chain that drags in the ground and rips out all of the eelgrass. This floats a little bit differently up higher, so it won't rip out the eelgrass. And in Rhode Island, how it worked was that we had a requirement, harbor management plans, where there was eelgrass in town, they actually were required to put in conservation moorings at their own cost. They wanted a mooring, great, you can put a mooring in, you have to put a conservation mooring in to protect the eelgrass.
Yeah.
Connecticut's a little bit different.
Yeah, we'll see how this,
How it's
one thing
implemented.
says, yay, we're all for it.
Right.
Second thing is,
What do
I
we
can
do?
execute.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So, so I'm
It's,
positive it passed, but we'll wait and see what happens.
it looks like the Deep and Department of Agricultural Bureau of Aquaculture and Yukon will appoint
The
an
coord-
individual
right,
as a
the coordinator,
Connecticut
yep.
seagrass coordinator, but
Yep.
we don't know who that is.
We don't know who that is, so, more to come on that one.
That a paid position?
Sounds like it.
Probably.
It's a good question.
Probably.
Probably.
All right, my last thing was, I guess in exchange, the appraiser's office sent out a new form to the open space owners. Even though it's been a state form for years, we just ran across it last month. And after some research, and discussions with GOSA, as Tom might know, it seems to be that the purpose of it was originally for 490 parcels, which to me makes more sense. To go out every year, this was an every year one, and ask everyone to list the parcel. I mean, it was this long form of all the stuff that needed to be done. And I talked to the mayor, the town assessor. I said, we have all the data. We not only have it, but we reviewed it with town staff and we came to agreement. This is what the data is, which to me is a much better representation than asking a private organization, well, give me your view on what it is. But that's just me. So at this point, I made my input known. Mary wasn't quite sure what to do, so that might pop up just in case you hear that. That personally, I don't support all the land conservatory movements. It's nothing to do for us. It really is privately owned.
Yeah, exactly. They're the ones that have to,
Yeah, which is,
report.
well, anyway, so
at
right
least
now,
now.
my net is, it's up in the air as far as as I'm reporting. Okay, next, that's all I had. The next is report of the commission members. So, why don't we start with our remote commission member?
Okay, so this is first off, I just want to follow up on what Larry was saying. The form, the M30 form really it's issued by the Connecticut Department of Agriculture. And from my viewpoint, from reading it, it's really the document that you would fill out to apply for PA 490. I just wanted to outline that in a little bit more detail. So I don't see why we need to be redoing that, because everything that's classified 490 or the 10 mil program is already identified in our database and in the land records. So I think it's I don't know where the assessor's coming from either. The only other thing I have is that on June 5th, I'm coordinating with the NER folks for the cleanup of Baker Cove area. I've gotten permissions from Parks and Rec, from the city of Groton, and from Branford Manor, which we're going to be on a part of on their property also, to go ahead and do the cleanup. All this right now, they actually have an online sign up through the NER that you can volunteer for if anybody has, in addition to the students, can sign up for it also. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Can
Hey.
you send us, could you just maybe send us a link, or, because I
Okay.
talked about with NER, I mean, what website that would be.
What, and,
Background?
can you tell me the date again, please?
The 6th of June.
6, okay.
I thought it was a fifth.
Oh, excuse me, the 5th of June. I get this.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
6-5.
The
sorry.
European state, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll start. Michelle,
Nothing that's not on the agenda.
Ray,
Two quick ones. Pequot Woods Board of Trustees had its annual meeting at the end of April, and Parks and Rec gives their annual report of how the woods were doing or how much work they put into it, which is wasn't much different on their efforts from one year to the next. The trail system has been maintained well. We're very pleased with from the board standpoint, with the Parks and Rec's effort to keep things open. And we have that monthly trail walk report that Parks and Rec refer to see if there are any problems on a month-to-month basis. One of the new things is that there was a part of the trail system. There's an old foundation that has now been identified as, at least they know one of the past owners of it. And there's Mystic River Historic Society was contacted to say, would they be interested in working with the Board of Trustees for Pequot Woods and the Historic Society, and perhaps putting some signage about this old stone foundation that is up in what's called the clearing. It's on the west side of the loop trail. Problem is that around the foundation, it's very heavily overgrown with the rose and some other invasives that are up there. And in order to open this up to make it as a destination while you're doing the walk around through the woods, Parks and Rec has to come in and do the clearing. And so as we were discussing it, I could see Mark Berry just roll his eyes back and say, oh no, you're giving us some additional work. So, but his the superintendent for the parks, her name is
Tabitha?
Yes, she was there. So they did their own walk up in that area to assess it. So we're excited about it, and the Historic Society is very interested in putting together signage about the foundation and about the whole area, the colonial aspect that's part of the woods that's up there, of trying to save it. The other item was I attended the New England Fishery Management Council, which was quite an event. This was about an Atlantic Heron Amendment 10 scoping committee. So basically what the whole thing is on the New England Fisheries Council is that they're dealing with overfishing and they're trying to find a way to curtail it. The overfishing involves fish that normally returns to the Connecticut estuaries, our river systems in the spring. They're herring, alewives, shad, and over the last 30 years, DEP has been trying to improve those water courses, both from pollution standpoints, as well as overcoming dams. In the case, our most important river system is the Mystic River that has the Wickford Brook at the top, the headwaters for it. And they went through a number of iterations with new fish ladders over the years, and then finally decided that they're going to do away with the fish ladder and take down the small dam that was there and just let it flow as it once did in the past. And they put a monitoring station there to say, okay, now that it's open, are the fish returning? And they're not. And this is happening all through southern New England, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and the river herring that return in the spring and then go back out to sea in the summer. They spend their growing years out on the in the open ocean, and then when they're ready to spawn, they come back. And the problem has been this time of the year that the trawlers, the fishing trawlers offshore, are fishing for Atlantic heron, a particular offshore herring, as a seasonal item to fish for. And they're finding that the river herring that we're concerned about are congregating and mixing it in with this offshore group along the coastline in late winter, early spring. And they're getting ready to come into the local estuaries, but can't because they're being scooped up in these huge nets. And so what this whole, there were 5 different information sessions put on by the Fisheries Management Council to take input on trying to see what the feeling is of the local folks as far as what's happening. And at the very start of the committee's input, they spent 5 minutes in telling you how you can respond and how you must behave. You have a 2-minute time period. There are certain places you can't go, certain things you can't say. You have to be on target or we're pulling you off. And they put up 5 pages up on the board of etiquette on making presentations. So this is the 5th and last of other meetings they've had along the coast of Connecticut. So you sit there and you go, oh my God, what are we in for? I've never been to a conference like that before. And a few people who spoke for the second time were pre-warned because they said, you remember what happened at the last meeting we had, open house meeting? You're not doing that or whatever. And they're going, yep, we'll stay on task. And so they had, 2 minutes and they had a board up with a countdown clock that everybody could see. And then it turned red and went from black to red if you went over the 2 minutes. So it was very tightly run. Everybody spoke in favor of doing some sort of management cap on the whole issue. The state of Connecticut, some of the past people who worked for DEP in the fisheries department spoke really strongly with a lot of data talking about the loss that Connecticut is sustained in the number of herring that have been trying to return to the Connecticut River, to the whole variety of river systems that are in the state. So basically, locally, we've done a good job of protecting the spawning grounds. The problem is the fish aren't coming. And now that they're noticing that they're being caught as bycatch, and thrown in with the other herring catch that they're trying to go for. So they're trying to put limits on the fishing fleet. And there was one statistic that I learned Saturday, is that in the state of Massachusetts in the 1970s and 1960s and 1970s, a seaport near, very close to Cape Cod had a cannery for herring fish, and they were producing 1 million pounds of canned herring per day
Holy cow.
in the 60s and 70s. So we think of what the impacts are offshore in the wild stock. We're not talking about any control of growing it and so forth. People can take as much as they want. It's very difficult to put limits on it. And that's what the conference is all about. So
Wow.
after the last of conference that I submitted a written comments to them rather than oral. And they're convening in June to make a decision of what everybody has said, how they should go forward. So, end of my part.
Besides Earth Day that I think we already covered, I have been following the big climate omnibus bill, HB 5004. After nearly 5 hours of filibustering in the House, it was passed. Maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. I don't remember the quite day. I was up at the Capitol in the gallery listening and watching. Very interesting kind of filibustering, I would say. And it was supposed to be raised on Wednesday in the Senate, and it didn't happen. So maybe next year. Do all that. Yeah, high priority from the Democratic caucus in the paper, at least in the Connecticut Mirror article. Senator Looney struck a deal with Senator Harding. And basically ended the bill.
So the House passed it,
The House passed
the
it.
Senate just didn't move on it.
That's right. They also, it's a short session.
Right.
It was incredible. I watched remotely the Senate, and it was some kind of a nail biter, I would say, because we didn't really know what was happening. But at the end, the last hour was just people talking as fast as they could to get their bill name out and a quick vote, or and also a huge rush about an hour before to get everything on the consent calendar. So
Wow.
it was, and then they passed the consent calendar. Yeah, very, very interesting to watch and pretty disappointing. So really not much action on climate at all. The SB 11, which would have been funding and resiliency, didn't even get out of on the floor of the Senate. One solar bill passed, but just a tiny step forward. That's it.
All right, step forward, 2 steps back.
Mhm. Just, yeah, we had the Earth Day Fair, which we never really actually debriefed it, but I thought it was a good day and officially debriefed it in the agenda. We've had a couple planning meetings for next year. And you know, the inset, whatever, you know, more food trucks, more publicity, blah, blah. A nice article in the Day about it. And the date, we have a date already, June 26th, no, April 26th next year, which is at least after, it's like 4 or 5 days later. And we're gonna have a little bit more of an official map and more of a list and more of a, you know, kind of a predetermined, it was kind of a free for all as to where things went. So that's one thing. Okay, and then another thing is June 1st, which is before our next meeting, Pollinator Pathway and ECCD are combining to install a rain garden coincidentally at 82 Irving Street.
With your house?
Coincidentally, they're begging, we have this grant, we have to install these gardens, like would you? And I'm like, okay, we'll do it at my house, that's fine. Yeah, so we'll be looking for volunteers to help with that. And this is not on, is this more like a report? I have new business, we'll talk about that later. Okay, I think that's it.
Things you have done.
Yeah, no, that's all I did.
All right. Moving along. Old business, first, next item, business, 5, 6, 7. Open space inventory. There is in the agenda package an updated P&R facility listing. Tom, you want to give a quick,
Give a quick something.
something, yes.
Well, I haven't updated any, this is all, I guess I'm a little confused as far as on what you're looking for. The Parks and Rec, right now, we generated a list for the Parks and Rec regulation to be updated by that has to be initiated by the Parks and Rec staff to the Parks and Rec Commission. And then upon successful passage out of there, then it would go to the town council for the update of the Parks and Rec regulations. In that regulation, there's an inventory that I've updated for them to reflect all the changes. And that's what we're reflecting currently in our online working database. And so and they've known about it for about 1.5 years here and is still not taking any action on it. But I've been keeping it updated, and I just sent a revised update to reflect like the recent changes that were announced at our last meeting here back in April, as far as these additional open space areas that have been brought into the town, like such as Maple Glen off of Gunjiwamp. So that update has been provided to Mark, and I haven't heard what his actions are with it. That's all I have.
Is there anything, should we, from a commission point of view, push Mark, or what could we do to move this along?
Well, I think one of the things is that this really would come under Tabitha Wilson, the new open space person. It's probably the ideal thing is to talk to her, and if we can get some traction there. If you want me to I'll take an action. I have not talked to her directly about it in the past, but that might be our best way forward. And then also to attend I had back about 1 year plus ago, I did attend one of the Parks and Rec meetings and had identified this issue to them, but it really didn't gain any traction. Mark said he'll take a look at it and never did anything with it as far as bringing it forward. So maybe we need to get Tabitha on it as the new person there to bring us forward.
All right, so yeah, I'll accept your offer to speak with Tabitha and move this along. If there's I mean, it seems like they'd want to have the most accurate database.
Yeah, the current one is 9 years old, it's the last update. So it's in 20, and there's two versions that are out there, and it's hard to tell which one is, there's a 2013 version and a 2015 version, so we're kind of split the difference. Because one of the things is I couldn't find where the 2015 one actually, it was drafted, but it never appeared to go to the town council. So if you go to their website, the 2013 version is what's posted on the website in Parks and Rec for their regulation.
All right, thank you. Next order of business is, I think this has been out there for at least a month. Tom went through and updated, we're calling it an administrative update of the open space plan. And the intent was for any comments from you guys, on that plan, and then accept it from a commission point of view. So, Tom, you want me to just scan through it? Do you want to take the lead on that? I mean, either way is fine. with me.
However you want to do that, I'm standing by.
Okay, well, let me bring it up on. Should we share screen? We can get it up.
And Larry, as you're bringing that up on the screen, I meant to mention this before too. You probably saw a slightly different agenda packet this time. So one of the things that's been asked of all commissions, agencies, whatever, is to put those little like teaser memos before every single attachment. There was like a 1-page memo that said like eelgrass bill. The commission will discuss the latest status of the eelgrass bill. Long story short, I guess it was
Oh, that's
confused.
what that was.
Yes, I guess it was confusing to some people.
I was confused by it.
Yes, and so this is being asked of all commissions to basically put this together. This has nothing to do with you all. Larry, you'll still forward me the attachments you want, but basically in front of every attachment, there'll be a quick memo that says that we'll discuss this topic. And I know, Tom, you print out everything, so it's another piece of paper for you, unfortunately. But that's what they're doing. So there's more clarity or whatnot. I have no idea. It's just being asked, so that's why it's like that. That is also the reason why I added the open space plan again. After you and I talked over email and stuff and said there's no need to because it was in last month's agenda. However, if someone from the public was coming in and we were discussing this and they had no clue about it because they never looked at last month's agenda, that's why it's up there. We're not doing that for most things, but because we're specifically discussing that document, that's why it was in 2 months in a row. And hence the reason why 2 months in a row you have 100+ page agenda packet, which is clearly a lot. So, I know, I didn't want to get down to the specifics, but yes, you are correct. Yes, Michelle.
So it looks like there's one memo for everything. You're saying
Yes.
in the future, there'll be a memo
No.
before each item?
No, because and part of it too was we've worked really hard to keep to a set agenda so that every month we know what we're talking about. And for the most part, I mean, Michelle, you said every time, like it's already in the agenda. So you all know the different topics that we talk about. And that even though if there are no updates, that's fine, but it keeps us on a kind of organized platform as this is what we're discussing. And what we decided internally, it was just easy enough because it's a one-liner that says it. So, but that's how we did it rather than adding all these additional
But I think
pages.
it's a good thing.
Yep.
You made it sound like there's gonna be one for every item. But there's just one for the whole.
For other commissions, yes.
Okay,
For
got it.
us, because it's all under old business, we decided to make the decision that it's easier to put under one rather than having 2 lines
Right,
and then the
okay.
next attachment, 2
yeah.
lines, So we made the executive
plan.
decision to do that.
Good plan by the planning guy.
So-
Okay, back to the topic at hand. So I think what I would do is, I've got it up here. It's highlighted in red in terms of what has changed. And what I would propose is that I slowly.
Oh, yeah, need to stop right there for.
Yeah, right, there's your
Yeah,
first
I
one.
think every single one of us caught that.
Yeah.
Yep. So we need to take, are you taking notes, Tom, or?
Yes, I am. It'd be
Okay.
easier for me to, I've got the master copy here and
Okay.
I'll just
So,
take
yeah,
notes.
So we need to take.
That's why I printed it all out.
Yeah, he never.
Yeah, he
wanted
never,
to
yeah.
take- Had nothing to
Okay.
do with it.
Yep. And, okay, so keep, this is automatically generated.
Those are all, yes.
Okay, so now we've got some deletes. And it's not, well, I understand the point. It's not going to be adopted by the plan in 2022. It's the 2026 plan. So it happens. when
I left that more open-ended, just so that, because there's no reason to, this thing's gonna expand past that. That's come, I got rid of the 2026 stuff,
No, no, no,
references.
I got that, yep. And there was added, nature-based
Yeah.
solutions,
Right.
yep, and if you recall. Last meeting, the meeting before when we went to the, land management council meeting. They stressed and I reported on the natural-based solutions approach, which was kind of I think an improved way of talking about it. So I certainly have no problems with that. I mean, guys, you gotta speak up if you want something changed. On this page, this is just a question of accuracy to me.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it was mostly just to update the, getting rid of the process, for the updates for the POCD.
I think I can make this bigger. There we go, okay. Help those who are sight challenged. Okay, so. Again, that's minor.
It's a typo.
Yep, typo, yep. Now, our favorite center is the definitions section.
Yep.
So.
All I did was I kept the current green plan because the state says they're not going to have a new definition until next year sometime at the earliest. And so what I'm using is in the definition that we have currently is to our advantage. So I left it that way. And because I don't have anything newer from the state, all I did was define it better and put a little bit more explanation to it in regard to like deeds and easements as protection and that type of stuff, and also to clearly identify what the regulation that we just talked about. That's what's been how we've been tracking everything.
Yep. I think
Which-
that's fine.
Wait, go back up one
Whoop.
second. It might be just be a typo. Unless any changes require, in that first sentence there, protected open space has legal protection, deed easement, and thus any changes require, not requires, or thus any changes.
Requires.
Any
legal
change
action.
requires.
It is, okay, sorry, I read it wrong. I was reading it before. Yeah, oh, that's
Well-
right. Never mind.
Okay.
We had a grammar check. Okay.
Good job. Grammar check.
Okay, so nothing.
Yeah,
So
most
Bryce,
of
you have
this-
to have this memorized by our next meeting. You know that. You'll be a tech.
Can I interject a question to Tom?
Yes.
When Larry was just going through some of the maps that we have of open space and different ways of approaching it, is there any consideration of adding in at some point a map for the new near?
There's a whole section on near here, and that's a good suggestion. We're just not there yet. But we talk about, because in the prior version, the near didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
Right.
So I tried to
Right.
update the near that exists, and I did not include a map, but we can.
Okay,
We're not there yet. So
No.
we're only on, all right, the same comment on POCD timing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sparkle.
so Sparkle, okay, so there was some new added acreage, and so this is just
Right,
adding
that
that.
was just add, sir.
And so went to 13 instead of 11.
Yeah, this is just, again, new ads for Avalone and Gosa.
Yep. And grammar.
Yeah.
Okay,
None of this has changed.
Oh, here,
which?
snapshot.
I
Keep
didn't-
going.
Oh, I should say, I didn't get
I
there.
think.
Okay, open space inventory. Yes, that one is, I'm trying to remember when we first put this up. So the open space viewer was actually in process when we did this, yep. So that's just a clarification there.
What I kind of did was get rid of Appendix A because Appendix A, I tried to, consolidate stuff rather than we had all these listings in the back. You'll see where we had these listings of all the property. I'm just saying, I'm just going to make it a reference rather than trying to put, everything in there. So I'd say that reference A is just a snapshot. This
Connecticut
is to reflect
Greenway.
the updates for the two
Update.
greenways.
Yep,
Yep,
and this is in the Tri-Town Dale Greenway, so it's more information on the Greenway updates. I'm looking for you guys to stop me if you see something you don't like.
Don't worry, you know us, Larry.
You're very laid back today.
Because
Okay.
everything's wonderful.
Nature-based solutions, that the
Right.
second reference to that. And
This is all the tree canopy. I haven't changed anything in here. This is all the equity stuff. Now this, I did add a little bit in here. And this is where I put the
accessibility, yep.
accessibility reference, which is new. I figured this was probably the best place to talk about it as far as for, the healthy communities and all that type of stuff. I think that was the intention from the planning department.
All right, well,
Yeah.
reflecting on the sustainability and resilience manager, which was not approved, I think, by the town. when
No, it was not at the time.
So that's really bringing it up to speed with that.
Yeah. Okay, here's the NER,
Yes,
okay, that Bray was asking for. So that's 3, 2, 3, and I will insert a NER map right in here. I can do that.
Thank you.
It's a
Good
good
idea.
suggestion.
yeah.
all right, that reflects the fact that there was established,
Right, because it wasn't at the time.
wasn't at the time. Yep. Well, yeah. Since we got a lot of information about the economic benefits of nature-based solutions for carbon sequestration at the conference, so that kind of reflects the latest science.
Minor note on that, the other places you did nature-based, you had a capital N and B?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
So do you want it nature, lower or uppercase?
Do it up
do a
first.
search.
Uppercase, yeah, it is a.
For
Nature-based.
consistency, yeah.
And this should be solutions and cost-effective nature-based solutions to climate change.
Do you want the S also capitalized? Nature-based solutions?
Yeah, 'cause
NBS?
If we have hyphen
Capitalized
in
other
there?
places?
Yeah, oftentimes how they're using it is as NBS, so it's all
Okay,
capitalized.
I will make that a global change.
Sounds important.
Global.
Global.
Global. All right. Moving right
As long as you're
along.
making changes, maybe make a.
Yeah, might as well, yeah. Keep
Not a
consistency.
problem.
Good.
If you're not dizzy by watching the screen.
No,
I-
no,
On my,
fast
oh, my
readers.
I'm staying
iPad.
right with you
I
here.
know there's not.
Thank you.
no.
So much
Faster.
better, so much better on my iPad.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Except it'd be in the same place.
That's not that
Well,
easy.
this is to update the recreation master plan that was approved by the town council last year and also the ongoing pedestrian trail master plan. that'll be updated.
That was up.
I kind of just used the generic years.
Hey,
Both
can
those
I,
updates are.
Tom, can I ask a question? Because oftentimes when we do it, and I know the zoning regs are different, is we often do as amended or as updated. So you don't have to keep going in each time to put it in there. I understand sometimes it's more important, but it's just something to think about. I'm not saying do it now, but I'm just saying there might be a
Well, no,
time.
I can take the dates out. I have no problem with taking the dates out and
I'm
just
just
leave
thinking
them as
less work for
generic.
you or
Yeah.
whoever takes it,
No,
so.
no problem. I will take the dates out because I just, this is exactly why we're talking about it. So I will remove the dates for those two locations.
Oh, so you're saying, just saying as updated as opposed to as updated in
Yeah,
2024?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get to do updates all the time and it's like, well, update it here. Oh, we gotta change it again, so.
Yep, yep. Oh, yeah, the SCOG, just more of a statement of plans. Oh, yeah, we changed the name, or the town council changed the name to Sassacus.
Right.
Let's see. There must have been that washer that caused this, huh? Washing machine, okay. I don't have no problem with that. Civic
Okay,
state
here we
and
go.
federal open
Federal open
space.
space.
This is where I'm trying to introduce the whole thought theory process of the 21, the state's goals and then the federal goal, which we didn't have when we passed this.
Cool.
So that's the
Federal executive order.
30% down here,
Yeah, the 30%.
The 30% is on the federal level.
federal level, yes.
But
the
yeah, it's a
state
federal
goal.
goal, but that we've endorsed it as a commission here, and so I'm documenting that in this paragraph, this section.
Good.
Okay, so that's more explanation of that. And this now is an update, the
This
earlier.
is to
we
reflect
added
those other
property,
changes that we already
right,
added.
Yep, so this is just getting it in line with the changes of the
9.5.
database.
We
Yep.
round up.
And also using the protected and preserved.
We are not gonna round up. It's 29.5, we're not yet to 30%, so. So, but nice thought.
Bad thought, man.
Yeah,
All right.
let's see,
Round down, just we have more work to do.
Stewardship.
what?
I said stewardship.
Yeah.
Yes, well, we said we were
I know,
shifting to
right, yeah,
stewardship.
yep.
And, as far as I know, the increase in the Parks and Rec budget for that, is still in the budget, correct?
As far as I know, yes. We'll see.
Okay,
Parks and Rec's budget review is tonight at the RTM.
And that's why I'm saying that.
okay.
As far as we know.
Let's see, so that's just. That's the easement, reflecting the easement work that was done.
Right.
Now. I thought we excluded the target acquisition ones. Did we,
In the original, in the 2020 version,
yeah,
there is an appendix F. That's coming from us, zoom ahead to that or whatever, but we did have a list because it's in the POCD. POCD has the targeted items. And we basically just commented on those. Because it was all, it's POCD map C-6, properties desirable for protection. It was, and so what we did was just provided updated comments to what was already in the POCD. So I just I left all that pretty much alone.
all right, well, we'll get there again. This is just an update in terms of what
Yeah.
happened on the budget. Let's see.
This is, dropped this ordinance for, because we haven't taken any action on that, and so it's kind of a dead issue at this point. And Parks and Recs has taken on additional responsibilities as far as the critical open spaces as part of their regulation, so I think that the Parks and Rec regulation is adequate for protection.
Okay. Um,
I think that's just a typo that was in there, corrected.
so now.
These are all the recommendations that we had been
Yeah,
tracking.
But a number of these, we actually closed or resolved. Remember
Yeah,
the-
and I'll reflect those as when you do have them.
but
They
we-
say
A lot of
complete
these were
it.
changes to the beltways that, which you're looking at right now. And we haven't done much on the beltways, to be brutally honest with you.
No, I don't disagree with that specific, but what I meant is that this matrix is out there in the conservation website. And
It's.
every month, or whenever we did it, I updated them and said, completed. So.
Right.
I'm saying, should we take those?
Oh, delete all this and put it down and just put it to the website,
Well,
a reference?
or, well, let's see, that's,
I didn't mess with this other than if the item had been closed. I left it in here just for consistency. I'm not trying to change a lot on here other than, you know. But if you want to eliminate this and just reference it to the actions to our conservation site on the town website, I can do that.
well, what I was thinking of is that the website has those that are completed. So what if we
It's more
in
live.
time
I'll
it,
grant
just
you
say
that.
completed?
Does it still list, does it still list that there's a list of what we had done, or when you complete it, does it, you make it go away?
Well, yeah, on the website, you're right, it was only the ones that were not completed. The version I have
Right, I mean, you
has a
know,
total list.
yeah, you want the whole list
Yeah, and then
somewhere
the
so
ones that are
people can
completed.
see what we've done, right? So if you get rid of, if this one that's open to the public, if you delete the stuff that's done, there's no record to them of what we've done.
How about a compromise here where we would maintain the master list here in this document, but I now need to put a director over. If you want an updated status, go to the town website and put the link, put a link in
Yeah.
to tell a person to go there. I think that may be a better middle ground here.
So the current active ones from this list are on the website. I mean, that's the way we kind of parsed it.
I never look, I don't know. You saying it is, but I never go to the website to look at it, so I have no idea.
I know that because that's what I put out there. I mean,
Okay,
we reviewed it in every meeting.
Right.
And then I just posted it.
okay, well, that's good, because then people can see, but we do definitely need the record of all the stuff that we've done.
Okay, I will just add, I'll leave this in I think it's more appropriate to keep this whole master list
Yeah.
together.
Right.
Because it
Yeah.
reflects pulling everything from what sections it are and all this type of stuff. And then I will add in the text here at 7.0, here's the link to go find the most current status on this.
All right, let me dig out the total list that has them listed as completed. And I'm suggesting that under timing, we just say completed. I mean, you can leave the whole list, but just put the word completed.
Yeah, and I think I did that.
That's all right.
Yeah,
In here,
they are. I added some of the completed ones. If you go down to
Right.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
7215.
Yep. All right, yep.
I did put completed in there. The status, I did the update as of March, and I'll re-verify the status. I'll take an action, re-verify.
All right, no, that's fine. I thought we completed more. Hmm.
I was kind of surprised also. But
All I'll check.
A lot
it
of these were
out.
longer term things that we really haven't been tracking. But a lot of this was tied also to the P O C D update, which we're still, this
Right.
is pre-P O C D.
Right.
Well, yeah, it was based upon the P O C D to some extent.
Yeah, right. And a lot of these things were tied to actions that would be reflected in the new P O C D.
Or stuff that's ongoing. For not, I'm looking at 7.2.4.4, we should remain vigilant as duties, right? So that's not a long-term goal to finish. That's an ongoing thing that we're gonna be doing. no
Yeah, but
matter what.
if you want me to change things from long-term to continuing actions, if we want to take those out or move them into a different
I would say,
category.
yeah, well, we keep it in there, but just call them continuing as opposed to, because it's not something that's got an end to it. Right?
But I think this would be a separate discussion as far as on how we want to handle things in regard to action items on a go-forward basis.
Yeah, probably, yes, yes. People have to think about what they want.
All right, so I'll double check on the completed side, Tom.
Yeah, and I will update I'll put an ad in here for the link and to the conservation website, which was not established at the time.
That's
And
correct.
then if you want to change things from long-term to ongoing or something, or, you know, I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah, we might want to have a separate table.
Yeah, but we can always update that on
ongoing
a
action
on a
items or
real-time
something.
basis. That's why I
Yeah.
said leave the master
Yeah.
list in the document.
Right.
All right, so we are in agreement that we're gonna keep the full list in there. We'll
Yeah.
though annotate it in terms of those things that have been completed. And on a case-by-case basis, because some of the long-term are long-term, they're not ongoing, because we.
Right. No, I agree, but there are some
Okay,
things
there are
that
some
we're
that
gonna
are-
keep doing no matter what. So.
Yes, okay, all right, we'll take a shot at that. All right, that's fair. And so that goes down this whole list then. They dropped the page 106, we're getting there.
Yeah, and this
Um,
is what I said, going back to the inventory on Appendix A, I just gave a screenshot of what it looks like when you go to that link.
Okay.
And I can do the same thing for the screenshot for the tracker.
All right,
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to have it as a external as opposed to trying to put the whole list in there.
Right, yeah, that's how come I cut a lot of pages out doing that.
Yeah,
But they're
good
still
job,
in here,
Tom.
but this is all deleted pages.
Yep. I like
Right.
it.
all right,
I have a quick question for Tom. I'm not
Yes.
sure this is a good place. You had a map of 490, what has been set aside. for-
490 is included in the, as that's the, one of the levels. There's 14 levels that are tracked, but I didn't include the 490 on here because we really don't talk about 490. Do you want me to add the 490? I can. I'm flexible on the inventory here, but it is available and I
kind
can
of
put
a
it on this
private,
map
right?
that's right, that is showing on the screen right now.
Well, it's one of,
Because it's on the inventory,
it
but
is,
it doesn't
it is
display.
privately applied for, but it's
Right.
one that we take note of to say, at least this open space piece of property has some protection on it versus none at all.
Well, it's really not protection.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
a
even-
tax abatement.
Well, tax
on it.
abatement, but
Yeah.
when you're looking at, what are your options for putting some sort of hesitation on selling your land for development? 490 kicks in.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's really not any level of protection. I've been,
Oh, I
the
agree.
state was very adamant about that.
Yeah.
In my discussions with them.
Right. And the penalties they have in it, that once you've gotten the
Yeah.
permit for it, the tax abatement, the penalties if you sell early are very small.
yeah, it's not that.
Yeah,
big.
well, it goes away
incentive.
also depending, yeah, well, if you, after 10 years, there's basically no penalty, so,
Well, actually, it's almost after about 2 years. Then the
yeah.
percentage is way, way down.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, all these, this is all deletes in this area here, this whole page, these are pages of deletes. This is unchanged in this area. This is all the climate change data. And then we go into the economic value, it was no changes.
Hey, Tom, were those FEMA maps?
Yeah,
They're off the town website. I
Okay.
can't remember exactly. It's been a long time. I didn't even
Thought
look
they
at
were
these
FEMA.
recently.
All
I
right.
worked with Ann on those. Maybe she remembers.
I know, I think they were, or they were Circa maps, but
Okay.
based on FEMA, but they could be different.
Well, they're different. Circa and
There's an
FEMA are very
explanation of where
different.
these came.
Well, I think these are FEMA.
Okay.
You want me
Yeah,
to
this is the Connecticut shoreline rise viewer is available at
At
Yukon
FEMA.
Circa.
Oh,
Okay,
at
these
FEMA.
are Circa maps, not
Okay.
FEMA maps.
So they are different?
They are different. And so Megan and I have had some conversations with them. There's some interesting. It's a word I want to say, differences between the maps. And one of them is like, so Midway Oval is not shown in a flood zone anymore. And that's
In which one?
in the Circa maps. And part of it's because of the engineering they're doing. So we're looking at opportunities potentially to get some better data for Circa to get that in there because we know they're within it. It's just they didn't have. It's a long story, but what I wanted to say is whether or not they're the sea level rise viewer or the FEMA maps, there are new FEMA maps coming out. So I actually reviewed those, I don't know, maybe 8-10 months ago. And they're not looking at coastal right now. They're only looking at inland flooding and changing around some of the stuff for that. And they're taking some properties out of the X zone. They're adding new ones in there and whatnot. But those new maps should be coming probably within the next year. So just something to expect. And then we'll obviously work with NOAA to get those updated on the website too. So.
All right.
Yeah, this is really to support the discussions that is the section that Ann wrote in this area.
Yep.
And we just moved the maps out here because it got a little wordy and just extended in the text section.
All right. This one we talked about is the updated.
Right, this is the update for the easements, but I also put the link to, now this is to the working database, I think. Because NOAA hasn't provided his links yet into the inventory viewer. Till that happens, I had to put the list in,
I just
the
clicked on.
snapshot again.
Yep, and it's a spreadsheet with all the conservation easements in it.
Yeah, so there's 80 of them or 70 and then another 10.
Okay, so the link works, I just did it.
I lost, which document page are we on again? I lost.
Page 125. Okay, no changes. Okay. Now we got a lot of deletes.
Yeah, this is because what was what did I delete here? This is
Easements.
easements discussions and stuff. Rather than going into, these were generic because we hadn't even at the time back in 2019. And then into 2020, I wasn't able to get into the vault because of COVID. And so we didn't, so all I had was generic stuff from the file with Deb. And then and so we said we took it, it's in the text here. I kind of deleted all that because I said we're gonna update this and provide a spreadsheet and stuff. So I just got rid of all that data. And we talked about appendix F that I didn't change anything in here because this was just the discussion that we had to the baseline POCD.
And I believe that's
That's it.
it.
That's it. And then the references, I didn't add any additional references or take any out.
All
Good
right,
job, Tom.
so there's a little bit of work to do, but is this?
No, this is fine. This is exactly what I was looking for.
All
This is
right,
all doable.
Is there? Let me ask the question to the commission. Do we want to have the actions you just heard be done and come back for approval? Or do you want to
I
just,
think we need to prove when it's done.
just have a final
Yeah.
draft?
Well, the final,
The
basically.
final, yeah.
Final.
I will have it ready for the next meeting in June.
Okay.
Give me a week here.
All right. All right, very good.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, after Tom makes the changes. And so the question is, do you want a document still with track changes, or you just want
No.
you want the final, which is what I would say too. And then we can put the final as part of the agenda packet.
Right.
And then that will be, based
The
upon the
official
discussion
version.
today.
Yep.
That will be what will be voted upon next meeting.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of
makes
hard
sense to me,
to
right?
track this without having the tracking document available to see what was done.
You can send
Maybe-
it both ways.
Yeah, but
And you
it's,
just include in the agenda package,
we
the
need
final
to.
version, but I can, however you want, he can send, I can, once I have it done, I can send out the track changes or have, Dave send the track changes out to everybody, so you have it, and then, but in the agenda package, it'll just show the final.
Okay.
there's no substance there. I mean, there's no, it's not like there's anything for us to disagree with, right?
Right.
Then why have it at all?
Maybe why have it at all? Why have it track changes again when it's minor? I mean, it's capitalizations, it's getting rid of deletions. I mean, when you look at if he gives us the clean version. Right? So so compared to what's on here, I mean, it's not like we've changed all kinds of stuff in there. There's minor changes. Why look at the track changes? That's my opinion.
Saying, why look at it at all?
I'd say, yeah, then why would it all? Tom said he
Because you
would
want a
send
clean you'd want a clean version in the
a
minutes
clean
to vote
version
on.
in the
Yes.
agenda, and Tom's gonna send
Yeah,
out
that
the
helps.
tracking one to us, so that to aid in our review.
Yeah, and I can send that, I'll send that internally to you all. And then the final one will be part of the agenda packet.
Yes, okay, all right.
And if someone really wants to see it, if say someone says, oh, I'd like to see all the, we can produce that. That's not a hard thing to produce, so, but
All right,
I have a slight question, which I'm sure you don't want to hear now, but looking at these maps, of the sea level rise, projected 20-inch rise. 100-year flood event is nothing anymore. Like a 100-year flood event is kind of a
Thirty-
weekly
10-year flood
rainstorm.
event.
It's not,
So-
it's a 17-year flood event, I think.
Right, so what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
so we should be looking at a 200 or 500-year flood event, which is an actual major flood event. 'Cause a
Well, is
100-year
that
flood
part of
event
the
is-
updates that FEMA's doing?
Yeah.
They're not gonna
well, yes, they are redoing the modeling for it and stuff
Yeah.
like that based upon the updates and stuff like that. But they're not looking at, they really don't look at 500-year. I mean, the only way they look at 500-year floods is the X zone. So if you're in the X zone, that's a point. And again, I'll as a certified floodplain manager who deals with this all the time, one of the things that we need everyone to do is to not call it by how often it is, the 100-year flood, the 500. It's all the percentage. So the storms that we're most concerned with are the 1% chance. And those are, those are the old 100-year storms, because you can have 3 1% chance storms within a year, or they can be spread out 150 years, and that's not the case anymore. The 500-year storm is now known as the 0.2%. So that's a lot less frequent, but that's those are changing slightly. Yeah,
They're happening,
because of
more likely to happen.
Yeah,
with-
yeah.
So I'm just saying,
well, then 8.2%.
You don't have 500 years of data.
it's still a
I mean,
0.2% based
yeah,
upon,
yeah,
it's
it's
all based upon
probability.
exactly. It's all based on
It's not-
probabilities. Yeah.
yeah.
It's not a 500-year storm, or even 100-year, because I constantly keep hearing, well, we had Sandy, and Sandy was a 100-year storm, so we don't have to worry for another 100 years.
No.
No, Sandy was not a 100-year storm. Sandy was a 25-year storm, and so there's it's more. People have these very short-term memories when it comes to
Yes.
storms, and that's the biggest problem.
Yep.
And so we get every year you have a 1% chance of that. And we won't even talk about what this year looks like right now, but that's not
but
the,
just the inundation is significantly different. If you
Yes.
realistically look at the type of like a Sandy or whatever, some storm comes in, you have a 20-inch rise, and then you get a big event, like the picture looks a lot different.
and some of the mapping that's done now, this whole LiDAR mapping can show you that, because you can basically, you can look at it. Okay, what does a 1-foot rise look like? What does a 10-foot rise? What does a 27-foot rise. You can choose those different levels and really see what it does. Yeah, they just don't, we need we need someone like FEMA or whatnot who's done the maps that we want to, or Circa or whoever, that's part of that. But yeah, we did find that little hole in the midway over. We're like, wait, what? I'm like, we're concentrating a lot of our efforts on Pequannock Bridge because we know what they're within there. And if all of a sudden Circa's mapping and saying, no, it's not a problem, we had to clarify that. And like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, so we're working on trying to get some funding too, so they can do some of the grants that Megan's been working on and whatnot to hopefully fine tune that.
All right, moving on. Plan of a quick status on the POCD. Without any explanation, we have received 5 submittals to the RFP. That's been narrowed down, and there's a meeting 5/9 to meet with finalists, and that's all I will say on that.
5/9, so it already happened?
I'm sorry, not 6, must be 6/9, no, 6,
Must be 6/9, Larry.
must be
unless you missed it.
6/9. I must have done it. Yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up, but we haven't finalized. I think they said that these are the dates that are available, and we're working with the reduced list
Reduced,
to
yeah,
come up with
to come in.
actual dates for when the interviews will happen.
Okay.
But that's all we can tell you right now.
Okay, that's it.
Yes.
Okay. But progress is being made. So I think the point was this month is the objective to get those meetings done. Budget support, we did chat about that, and I guess we have the budget meeting tonight. Vacant land review, I don't have any update on that. I guess that's my question is the staff. What the hell's going on? Like the Butler School was the last.
We don't have any updates either. So,
Process is ground to a halt.
Yep.
Think about that. The next topic is the Connecticut College project. We
Yes.
did get the review last week, and you had asked us to
Yes.
come up with next steps or.
Right, so for the record, we used the time for the meeting last week to have the students from Conn College give their presentations of their 5 projects. And so there's couple outstanding questions. One is how we want to move forward with sharing the information about the projects. And then the second one is any ideas for next year that come from those projects. So I was going to offer, and I don't know how, so we don't know yet exactly what to do, but I will put together a presentation that summarizes all the projects, right? To do like one presentation that talks about all 5 projects, and then have a list of our recommendations going forward. And then we can all talk about that and, to make it official that this is what, but then where you want to submit that, where you want to put it is the question.
I think let's separate that in 2 parts. The
Okay.
first part is what we did last year is we posted it on the website.
We posted
which
the
is
one
some-
pagers on.
It was 1-page summary for each of the projects. Now, if
Right.
you're saying let's put them all together, I'm fine.
Well, in addition, no, I would still do the 1-page summaries. Because that's, and some of the teams have done that. I mean, I asked them if I didn't require it, but I said, if you're interested, do the 1-page summary for us. And at least some of them are doing that. So I think we should still have the summary. So I'm saying in addition to that,
Okay,
have a presentation available for whoever we think we want as an audience, and we can tailor it. But basically, I think there were some really good takeaways for us towards the POCD and whatever, and we should capture those somewhere.
yeah, but there's such different projects. Is each project, I think, would have a different target audience?
Possibly, but we can always parse it then. So if we have one presentation, right, one PowerPoint that has all the information in it from all 5 projects, with the background information, what this was about, each several pages for each project, and then if you have you only want this project, so you take the background information that's, and then that project. So anybody can then take it to do what they want with it. For
Okay,
whatever
no, no,
audience.
That's fine. So we'll publish on the website the individual one pagers. This other one is our basis
We
for
can decide what we want to do with
what
it.
we want to do with that next. And I mean, I
Right.
wrote down some things on where we might go with some pieces of it. Like on urban trees, we'd go to, P and Z and Parks and Rec, for example, for that project.
Yeah, well, the city of Groton and EB is now, I read in the paper, going to be replanning
Yeah,
their
I did.
parking.
Yep.
It might be a nice kind of thing for them to think
Yeah.
about.
So things, like
Well, and
that.
maybe for those things, it'd be even just give them the whole report. So we will have the reports available to us, which I haven't. Some of them I already have, I haven't looked at them yet. So internally, we'll have the full reports, we'll have the full presentations,
Okay.
right? To do with as we choose, but then in addition to that, I'm suggesting having a presentation available for us to use. If there's other, like if you want to say, we're, doing our bragging to the town council or whatever, saying, here's, this thing we did and here's what these students, whatever we want to use it for, but have it, rather than saying, oh, we want to give this presentation in 2 weeks, can we get some together? I'll put it together so we have it available.
All right.
That's great, Michelle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be, I think.
So that's my suggestion for that.
All right.
And then, and so to go with that, then rather than trying to come up with the ideas for future projects now, I think when we review that presentation, it'll trigger
right.
ideas for, let's start our list for next year based on the recommendations that come out of the presentations that are in that. And I might have it done by next meeting, but I'm gonna give myself till July to have it ready for you guys to look at.
When is, let's see, when did July meetings?
Well, it's the second week because the first
Starts the
week
first
is,
week, July 4th.
right. So it'd be July 8th, I'm guessing. Oh, I don't have it on how did I not have that on my calendar? Oh, because I have it on the first. Is it on, well, maybe it is on the first. It's the first since
Yeah, probably is the first.
Monday is the first, so I guess, well, I'm gonna be out of town.
I'm gonna be out of town. Doesn't mean we can't have a meeting, but
No, all right, so I'll target August. I might have it done by June, but I'll target
We
August.
don't even talk to them until like next year, so that's not a
Right.
pressure situation.
No, it's not
Think about it.
pressure and, since we're getting on the summer, I doubt that we're gonna have any external presentations to anybody before the fall anyway, so.
probably true.
So I'll target the August meeting for the presentation on
Okay,
the summary presentation on the college projects, let's call it that.
And the one pagers, you think you would have?
I will have them sooner.
I already got one from the,
Yeah, that we
Dr.
should have them, because it's the end of their semester, so
Yeah.
I should have I just haven't looked yet, because I was doing work all
So
last week, so.
So hopefully we'd have those for June, one pages.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I'll also give them to you as soon as I get them, and you can post them.
No, well, I don't post things unless we
Okay,
do it at a meeting and everybody.
okay, so the June meeting will have the one pagers for the website.
Yep.
And then for the
Right.
August meeting, I'll have a summary presentation.
Okay. All right, it's a good plan. Next item was open space stewardship. I do not have any updates. Is there any?
I do, I have it, well, it's not an update per se, but in looking through our documents, I realized that we never finished our stewardship plan for the town properties. And I purposely haven't tried because whoever's, like, if now we have Tabitha, if she, like, whoever's gonna be the town person that has oversight for the plan needs to be part of the plan discussion. So for us to publish a plan for town stewardship and we're not gonna be ones implementing it, doesn't make any sense to me. We need to have buy-in from whoever's gonna be implementing the plan. That's my thought.
So you're suggesting that one, two, obviously not more than three, would meet with Tabitha and it says, here's our
Right.
proposal. I mean, the
If
individual
she's in
stewardship
fact the
plan is there,
person
but you're talking about the execution.
We have the management plans for each property.
Right.
This was the overall
Okay.
guidance for town property stewardship. And, who you go to, most of the information in it's fine, but it's the interaction with, we label these people, the town, respond, who's the. I
Who's,
forget the name,
right, who's gonna do what?
the town steward or whatever, but there's no person associated with that. Or there hasn't been, and so it doesn't make sense to publish a plan that includes needing to talk to somebody.
Okay.
If we don't know who that person is
So,
or what they want.
so is that something that you think could be accomplished over the summer with Tabitha?
If she in fact is the person, then, and she's, it's gonna be
She
that
probably
role.
is. I would assume she is, but I would also suggest you, and Tom has his hand up, so we'll get to you in a second, Tom. I would suggest you reach out to Mark first. You go to Mark and then he's probably gonna, yes, is Tabitha the right person to take this on? And I know that, she's still trying to get her feet underneath her for this position, so.
Right, so
Um,
I wouldn't try to do it like today.
Yeah, no,
Next
but,
week or
but
whatever,
it
but-
might make sense that, if it, and I understand the quorum issue and whatnot. It might make sense because you haven't invited her yet. You have invited her, but she was too busy, like she was. getting
Like,
up
I
to
would
speed.
wait till after she comes and talks to us.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yep, exactly. So have her come in and say, hey, listen, this is what we have. And we're
How do you
trying,
want to handle it?
we're trying to figure out next steps and.
Yep,
Like to get
that
your
makes
opinion on it.
total sense to
Let
me,
me,
yeah.
let me,
Let's see what Tom has to say first.
let me make it an alternate.
One of the things that we need to put into consideration here is that Tabitha is really responsible for the open space that's under the cognizance of the Parks and Rec Department.
Right.
And as opposed to all the other open spaces that are not assigned to Parks and Rec, Board of Ed, Public Works, is what we've been really kind of trying to focus on with our volunteer efforts. And I think we need to coordinate it with Tabitha. I won't argue that. But I think we still haven't done a good job of recruiting and trying to develop from ground zero the focus on these various areas within the town that don't have any ownership, and that we're trying to as a conservation commission, get some kind of process in place through a grassroots volunteer effort, which is what's outlined in our plan that we just are in the process of updating here. I think we need to put things in that type of perspective. Thank you.
I agree, Tom, and you can't do that unless you have a staff person for those volunteers to connect with.
Then we need to
Someone's
figure out
gotta be the person that those leaders for each of the properties can ask questions of.
and that could be a volunteer also. I just pointing that
See,
out.
I disagree with that totally. I think we have to have a person on staff, but we can, but she's a good person to ask. I don't know that.
Look, I don't wanna have her in here and then put her on the spot with this. I'd rather ahead of time say, here's what we got, et cetera, have some discussions. Then she can come in and then, remember, these are recorded, everybody sees it, so I'd rather do that two-step. I'll take this to talk to Mark Berry and clear that. And then I'll set up time with Tabitha. I would suggest either you or Tom.
I can do that. Or
Would
Tom,
you-
maybe you, me and Tom,
I
three
was
of
gonna
us.
say,
Yeah.
the three of us.
Sit down with
assuming
her
it
to
works
talk
out that
about.
way, we meet with her, at
Right.
least get that piece done, and then we can expand that. How much can we say, well, if it's good enough for Parks and Rec, why isn't it good enough for the other ones? We may or may not have a coordinator, but at least we've got a framework to use. Is that fair?
Well, something, I just think it's asking for failure. To put something out there that requires volunteers.
We already
with-
agreed with you.
With nobody to talk
Okay,
to.
so I'll get with Mark.
Yeah, and I wasn't talking about having her cold call her or anything. I was saying, there needs to be a plan. There needs to be some sort of discussion, or
Yeah.
at least some sort of like, this is what we're thinking. Would you be willing to come in there and discuss this with us? Not just come on in.
Yeah,
Good
one of
luck.
the things that that came out from the Pequot Board of Trustees annual meeting, we talked with Mark about stewardship, about what we could do on the property and what we can't. And there's, as a volunteer, the board members, of course, are volunteer for Pequot Woods. We said, well, to help out in the clearing, to keep trails open, at what level can we participate with equipment, for instance. So basically, anything that's a power equipment, chainsaws, whatever, battery powered or otherwise, you can't. So you're limited to clippers and loppers in a sense. So because we were looking at, on Pequot Woods, we have problems with trails closing in, especially at the end of the summer from a lot of the vines and so forth. And trying to assist the Parks and Rec stewarding the property, maintaining the property, maintaining the trails, trying to keep them open. So those sort of discussions, because it's town-owned land, we had to definitely go through town process and how they want to handle it. And it's also if you have volunteers, what level is a volunteer going to work on that particular piece of property versus what does the town think its responsibility is?
Mhm.
And then you also get involved with the unions.
So you, I mean, that's what you have a good sort of pilot outline benchmark for us to work with.
Yeah.
That's good. We already have something to use as an example.
Right, so we have a go forward on the stewardship. Over plan, whatever that's called.
Manual, stewardship manual.
Yeah, whatever you call it.
That's what I called it.
Okay, so next item was outreach. We did work on a NIP survey. Unfortunately, and it was put in there, unfortunately.
Not too many responses, right?
Yeah, very little responses and if not, you can't really do anything with that.
Wasn't there legislation for that?
There was giving the municipalities
The
the
ability,
ability
right.
to outlaw them,
Right, did that
but
go
I
through?
don't know if it went anywhere. Do you know? Dave?
When we did our plastic survey, did we have an email list that we sent that out to? Or was it town meetings where everybody at how do we get, remember we had 385 responses on that thing? Like I don't recall how we got so much input. And whatever it was, we could do.
Well,
the same.
we did a lot of advertisements. We went out, and we had articles in the day, we did some other things
About the survey.
about the survey itself. And the town council was sponsoring it. So that actually helped. This one we're
Mhm.
doing it. So we got the survey together. So the questions, the surveys out there, but we had,
Does the Greater Groton
20
website send
20
email that there's a new survey?
yeah, I think we have to, that's what we have to talk about. here.
Yeah,
Like 20
it doesn't, won't do it automatically.
It won't.
No.
No, it's 20 or
Yeah.
30
On Facebook
responses, which is not.
Yeah.
People have to come to it.
Yeah.
I'm in my,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm registered with them,
Yeah,
but
we're
I haven't
registered.
seen anything.
And so,
Go on.
maybe we can
Very
ask,
occasionally.
can we ask Lauren to do a poll on the survey, given the 4 responses we've gotten?
Well, isn't it in here? What do you mean?
No, what we're saying, put it out to the,
Oh,
to the.
Prompt people with the fact that there's a
Oh,
survey to.
Yeah,
Sorry.
hey, there, there's
Yeah,
a survey
got it.
out there, could you please?
please.
Please
so-
respond to this
I
survey.
mean, everybody that came up at the Earth Day, I handed out, I said, here's the
Yep.
the QR code.
The QR code, yep.
And do that, and that's probably 10 yeses we got it, but I thought it was interesting, 100% of the people that came by the booth said they were in favor of eliminating NIPS entirely, but it's a biased community that
Oh,
we
yeah.
were polling from, so I can't go. So that's the question, so would you make that request, or
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about what you want to ask as part of a poll. Do you want to?
we already got the.
Yeah, use the poll we have.
Yeah.
Put together.
It's already done. It's a
Well,
question of, would you please go to this? Are you aware that there's a NIP survey? Here's
Let me
the,
ask her. Yeah.
the link to the survey. Please take it. That's it. That's all I'm looking for here. right?
And I don't know if I know she was gonna put it on either Facebook or whatnot to get more response. I don't know if that ever had. I'll check on
And
that.
on the plastic survey, we had it in the normal Groton
Yep.
thing as a news item. Can we, that's a different
That's a different app.
ask.
Yeah, yeah,
So that would be through the IT department.
probably, yeah.
I think we sent emails. Somehow I feel like we sent
I think we
emails.
did a number of
Yeah.
things,
Mm.
right, to drive the thing. So
I'll ask
is
her.
that something you would ask?
You can ask her. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
it went out to every resident of Groton. I think,
Business?
did it go in with a bill or I don't know.
No, we sent it out to the businesses. We use the tax
Right, right.
code stuff, but this isn't a business per se.
Well, but that's how we got a large.
Yeah, we got one. Well, we had 2 segments. All right, so there's 2 requests one for Lauren and one for, I don't know if it's Noah or whoever controls the IT.
It's not Noah, no.
Whoever controls the IT.
I just checked the bill. It never made it out of committee.
Yeah, I was just looked at it too,
no, I
same
knew
thing.
that. I
Yeah.
knew that one.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, that was,
the liquor industry.
Hi.
is strong.
I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
question
that's a shock.
for you, Dave.
Yes.
Kristen just brought up plastic, and I think you mentioned that some of the downtown restaurants in downtown Mystic, they're newer
And Groton.
and they may not be aware. I had dinner or lunch at the restaurant and got a plastic straw.
So, we brought this up last year and it's the same thing. I think it was about a year ago this time too. Sorry, I should speak closer, as I tell everyone else to. So what you're gonna wanna do is if you witness that, is to send an email to Tom Zanarini, who is basically the zoning enforcement, and just say that I was out at such and such and they were giving out plastic straws and he can make an inquiry on that.
How do you spell his last name?
It's Z-A-N, hold on. Jeez, it's in front of me, I can do it easier.
Easier to say than spell.
I know. It's 1 N. 2. Oh. ZANARINI.
Santa Rita.
And so you in his emails, like all the rest of ours, so it's Zanarini@groton-ct.gov. But yeah, like if you witness any of that, like basically he relies on the public to or
Right.
commissions or whoever just to say, hey, listen, like he's obviously not doing spot checks everywhere because he's worrying about the light and everything else that's going on. So for that, just send him an email about that
Sure.
and just reference, I was there on Saturday night, I went to so and so, and leave it like that. Cause you're right, there are a lot of new restaurants and stuff that have come on the scene.
Does he have a report every so often about if there are any violations? Is that,
I don't know how he does it, or I don't know. I'm not actually.
in other
sure.
words, since we've passed this, how successful has it been in adoption? And is there a lot of leakage within it, or has it been pretty well honored?
I think that he relies on, if he doesn't hear from people,
No,
then he just
it's not
says,
a
I
problem.
haven't had an issue.
But
we
that
went
doesn't
with
mean
the-
there aren't any.
Of
Geez.
course.
Right. Well, that's, yeah.
GCA went out and did kind of a systematic survey and went like store to store to store to store all around, like sort of Groton, not every store, but the compliance was pretty good overall,
Hmm.
it felt. And I think
When was that?
I'm gonna say a year or 2 ago, yep. And I think GCA has noticed also that there's been, an uptick in the usage of straws and whatever styrofoam containers that they're not supposed to. They had a game plan to actually go to new businesses and say, because they probably don't even know. And just say, hey, by the way, here's this ordinance, just so you're in compliance. So they were gonna, but then of course, the whole thing with Zell has put the GCA agenda on hold now for a while, but yeah, so anyway, they're kind of on it. I assume they'll get back to it. But all of us should,
Mm.
if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
This is Tom.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Good, Tom.
One thing, I found Zandarini's email and stuff. It's part of the town website, under your planning department, under inspections. But when you go read it, it's just all about housing and blight and nothing about plastic inspections. So you may want to consider within your department to the staff, updating the town website to include this so that you know that you can send something to Tom about it. Because right now it says for information and zoning violations, blight enforcement, and request a housing code inspection or request a certificate of zoning compliance, contact Tom. But obviously you also want to be, it's not just blight, but also plastic issues. You may want to update that.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
good point
suggestion.
too, because if
You
someone's
don't know
new
where
to
to go
town,
to.
if it's not in, like, they look through the zoning regs, they don't even see a word about it.
Well-
They could kind of justifiably say, well, how are we supposed to know? Like, they
Well-
can't dig through every, but if it's right there in the, the kind of the front page of zoning requirements or something,
I'll see what, I know that Tom is dealing a lot with housing and blight, and obviously that's a big issue. I'm not undermining plastic at all by any means.
Just throw a sentence in there.
Yeah, I can see what they're willing to do. Yeah.
It's on the books. So.
Yep.
The other thing
Not
that,
ask them to do anything, we're just saying, just advertise that you are the point of contact, which is factual, correct
Mhm.
statement.
what I was gonna suggest is what GCA is doing is rather than just saying an email, actually, if you know it's a new restaurant, ask to talk to the manager and say, hey, did you know that there's an ordinance, and point it out to them, right? So, because if they just, like, someone complains to Tom and like, by the time they, like,
Well,
who
Tom
knows what's-
goes out and would go out and do
Right.
a compliance check, and he would inform them there that,
But you could do, but me say, hey, there's this thing, and by the way, I'm gonna report you to the compliance guy. What I
Well, the
mean,
first time you don't
no.
report, the first time you just, like, give a warning.
right?
and that's what Tom would do. He would
Yeah.
go in there
Yeah.
and he
I know.
would basically say, this is an
Well,
ordinance, this is our
that's-
ordinance.
I
Yep.
debated whether I should do that. I don't
Yeah.
know. I would.
Well, it sounds like
select
GCA
and
does
ask.
that. So I guess it depends on how comfortable you are.
And ask
Someone
Tom.
in the town whose job it is,
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's what that was set up that way, so that nobody has to be the bad guy.
Right.
No,
Except
it
actual-
wouldn't come in that Ann Schmidt said something about you. Like, it wouldn't
Yeah.
do that at all. So like, it basically, it's
All
all
a picture. It's just a
right.
picture.
Exactly. No, she's never allowed to eat there again.
Right.
Like, no.
That's a.
No, it's
Right.
it's basic, and really a lot of, if John Reiner and Tom did a thing in front of the council a few weeks ago and about blight, and and a lot of his job is education. So when he finds out about certain things, he goes there and educates and works with the community. It's not just like, that's how we function best is, you start there, and then if it continues to be an issue, then there's mechanisms to bring it higher up and stuff. So.
All right, so we have a go forward plan with that. Well, getting
New
to
business.
page 3 here, getting to new business. New business.
I have a comment. Is everyone in here familiar with Japanese knotweed?
Yep.
Unfortunately.
What's that?
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
okay. So, 3 years ago, there was almost none on Route 1. And then 2 years ago, you saw a couple sprigs. Now, both sides, and I think the town, this needs to be addressed because it's exponentially, it's explosive. And you're supposed to cut, the best hope is to cut it 3 times a year
Mhm.
and not take those scraps and throw them in the waste pile. That's what I think has happened, is that the town hacked it down, or somebody hacked it down, they threw it in the mulch pile, and then the mulch has just been spread along all the roadsides. But if we don't get a grip on this soon, it's gonna be absolutely too late. So, is there any conscious direction in the town of dealing with this? There's invasives, but Japanese knotweed's a whole different level.
I will talk to Greg Hanover. I can't, is there a particular, I know it's everywhere, but is there a particular place you're?
Well, I'm just like, it is everywhere, but every roadside you go along, like I'm going between Noank and Mystic on Route 1, it's coming on both sides, and I get it's a little, but it's like 10, 100, 1,000, it's like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
yeah. So,
One place might be to right across from Mystic Market.
Yep.
School Street. If you walk down there towards Willow Point on the right. The Phragmites looks like there was either somebody flattened them or a windstorm or something. flattened them, and the Japanese knotwood is just taken over
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. If you start to, like
everywhere. I mean, the
everywhere.
entire,
So, I don't know if we need to get like, there should be a red alert in the town. There should be posses of volunteers. There should be people out with their clippers. And I don't even know, like along Route 1, how far the verge goes where it's the town's responsibility versus the private landowner's responsibility.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really.
And there's some
it
open
gets
space over
gets
there.
really
There's some, I
tricky.
think, ghost of land over there, but it needs to be addressed badly.
I'll make a note.
Okay.
This is not, I mean, I'm an invasive, well, I was a certified invasive manager, over in Rhode Island, and it is you can't eradicate it. You really can't,
No, you can't.
you know, and so
Right.
it is a constant battle, and, there's no easy way to do that. And then there's issues with, what you're treating it with, how close it is to the water, the contamination that
Even
does.
just cutting it 3
Yeah.
times, you
Isn't
supposedly if
that-
you
isn't
cut it
that
early in the
something
spring,
that's really
you
deep
starve
roots?
it, keep starving the roots, and eventually if you keep cutting it, that, it has some impact, yeah.
Not really. I mean, basically you can keep cutting it and it comes back. I mean, that stuff grows like 2 feet in a week.
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, really the best treat is by treating it. But again, it's a massive undertaking that I don't know. I'll talk to Greg, but I don't, I know the town doesn't have the resources to take that on. So there may, a lot of this is on private property too. So that's the other big challenge. And when it comes down to it, like looking at it from a public health and safety perspective, especially the safety, if it's impairing sight lines, the biggest thing is to make sure it's get cut down so people can see around that. But it's super challenging, and there's
But if we
no,
don't- I mean, if we don't kind of fight it, it's just, there's
Oh, I know.
nothing left but
I
that.
know, I'm right there with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, it's bothering me. So that's one thing. The other thing is there's SB Butler keep SB Butler green signs popping up all over kind of in my neighborhood, because I think there's a lot of mystery about what's going on over there. I think there's been some developers in, and I know, remember that the one they did is it Clutch at the school right along the highway? Where we looked at the plans, the developer had the plans for these nice little
Oh, the,
apartments, and you go by and you look at that thing, it looks nothing like those plans. Those plans showed nice little comfortable manageable, and they're like 4-story high-rise apartments. It's very different. So just we have to.
You
keep
talking
an
about
eye-
Triton Square?
What?
Over by the Super 8?
It's right on the highway, kind of.
Yeah,
before
it's
you-
Triton
it's
Square.
Yeah.
like Colonel, it was a school site.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they took a school site and we all agreed it was a good site for apartments because it wasn't really ecologically valuable. And then they showed the pictures of how they're gonna look. Oh, they look so nice and so livable. And it's like, it's kind of a monstrosity.
It's because it's up on the hill.
yeah. I was gonna
You
say,
know,
it's
like
up on
it's
the hill.
really,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's changed. I mean, when that got approved, it was the same plans everyone looked at was the 4 stories of apartments and stuff like that. And it hasn't changed. And there are a bunch of resources in there. They protected some of the wetlands on the side over there. They have some recreational areas too as well. But yes, if it's new and it's because it's up on the hill, it is very visible.
Kind of awful.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we need to keep an eye on SB Butler too, because
Well, I talked about that earlier, that we've got a process and it's stuck.
Yeah, there's no
So
there's no
there's
RFP.
nothing- Yeah, so that one is, we'll go through those steps.
Yep.
let's see.
So
I have a
I'm just worried about that.
quick one for Dave.
No.
What's going on across the street from Johnson's Hardware?
Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh, this is
The
so
clear
funny.
cut.
I'm surprised it's taking you to like this many months to say something. I
Oh.
always forget about it.
I
Um,
forget to say,
They
thank you.
2.5 months ago came in there and just cut everything down.
Who's they?
Yeah.
Who's they?
We're assuming it's the owners.
Uh-huh.
And they own all of those parcels in there. There's it's their property. That we don't have any regulations on that. We weren't sure if they were gonna, do a replanting plan, no idea. But we get calls on it all
Is
the
it
time.
zoned residential or commercial over there?
It's residential. Well, it's mostly residential, and then there's like a
Right,
fringing,
you're right.
fringing commercial there. But all of that happened on residential, where people can do nothing was in the right of way, it's all stuff they did on their property. Why they did it, I have no idea.
Mhm.
And we still don't know, but we're obviously keeping an eye on it. But we haven't heard any updates whatsoever. So
Does look strange.
it does, and
does.
especially with the big, mulch piles and like the half mostly cut down trees with some stumps
A
and
lot of stumps. Yeah.
I don't know. So
Okey dokey. All right, any,
Oh,
Tom's
Tom, go ahead.
here with
Tom,
a couple of comments to all these things. As far as on the knotweed, 2 years ago, the state came along and sprayed the knotweed that they could identify along the state routes. So that'd be 215 Elm Street going down, and as well as Route 1. That was all sprayed 2 years ago. Did not do anything last year, and I don't know if they're gonna, what their plans are this year. When I've talked to Greg from Public Works, he basically said, I don't have the budget, it's not in my plans, and I have no intention of doing anything other than my normal maintenance. And so knotweed is not part of my mission. And so I just give you that feedback on the discussions I've had in the past. As far as for Triton Square, my question to you is, I was under the impression that should have been a lot of trees left over, and I don't see those trees. It looked like they all got leveled and stuff. Was there an inspection done to match the plan relative to the tree canopy plan as far as what's there today? Has anybody gone out there and actually inspected to ensure that the plan's being met relative to the trees? Or are they planning to tell you, oh, we took the trees down and we're going to replant later?
No, that's actually Deb Jones's project. So she's been there doing inspections really all the time. So
Okay.
in terms of the tree canopy and stuff like that, I don't know that. I can ask her and
Yeah,
get some
I'd
sort of
appreciate
response.
that. Just a little bit of feedback on that as far as, because as a commission member, I really can't go, because that was one of the things in their selling point to that plan that we have reviewed, was that all the MS4 drainage areas were all supposed to maintain that tree canopy and stuff. And looking at it, when I drive by from the interstate side, which is, you get a pretty good view of it, it looks like it's all been decimated in that area on the eastern side of the parcel. Because that's where all that was supposed to have been installed, and it just looked like they went beyond what was supposed to be in the plan.
It didn't look
Um,
similar to the plan.
I'll ask
Yeah.
Deb. I've walked
Now,
out there.
I'll grant you that the stories of the stuff, when you see a little plan in front of you off your screen, or on a board or something, and trying to visualize that in actuality, it's always a major shock. And so,
Yeah,
but
and the plans are not taking it from, like, say, the base level of where Super 8 is, where if you look at it from that perspective, I mean, they put a massive retaining wall in there to build it up on that hill there, and it's high up there.
Yeah, because it looks kind of tucked down, and it looked like, maybe it was a bird's eye view from like a satellite, so it looked like this cute little.
Well, it's a site
development.
plan. Yes.
yeah, the site plan, yeah.
You'd have to look at and the elevations. The elevations are taken from,
Yeah, the elevations didn't look.
Yeah.
as
The
gas-
parking lot.
yeah, they are. That's what it, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay, those are my only
know.
comments I had. Thank you.
any other new business? Report of staff?
The only thing I have is, again, community conversations coming up on, I think it's Thursday.
29th,
Um,
the sign out there said the 29th.
and the 29th, yes. And is it Thursday? A Wednesday.
29th is Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. It's a Civics 101 course, which I think all of you are probably pretty well aware of how to get more involved with local government. But that being said, as part of the whole POCD, as we've talked about a lot, there is a very concerted effort to get, more representation from the actual town. And I have to say that based upon the last 3 community conversations, it continues to ramp up, and we continue to see faces that we have never seen before.
Good.
So we're hoping that this last one, before we take a little break in the summertime, because everyone's too busy, and revisit it back and restart it back up in the fall, is based to, to those that are hesitant to come to a town council meeting, hesitant to get involved with commissions, and a lot of the empty seats that we have on those commissions. So kind of understanding the process of local government and, how you can have your voice heard and whatnot. So that's going to be, Civics 101. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. So, but that's what I got.
Okay. All right, I think that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
all right.
We are done for the month of.
See you, Tom.
Whatever month this
Take
is.
care.
Have fun, Tom.
Bye.